we unleashed something powerful.
The only chance we got is together.
There is another person I can think of.
What's up? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. What's up? What's up?
You have no idea what I'm capable of.
She just wanted to give me a hug. Wish me luck.
Really?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Sorry, I'm messing around.
Wish I had a suit. Even with, like, minimal powers. Or maybe even just a suit with no powers.
No.
Hey everybody, surprise, surprise. So I do an Ant-Man and the Wasp video yesterday. They decide to drop even more footage today with a whole bunch of new stuff. But a lot of you have also been requesting updates on the Captain Marvel movie, so I just figured I'd do that in this. So we'll talk about the new Ant-Man footage, then I'll talk about Captain Marvel. If you're finding me for the first time, there's a new round of that Infinity War DVD giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. I'll name a winner at the end of this. We finally get to hear the ghost speak for the first time. You have no idea what I'm capable of. So it sounds like one of those scenarios where she's not terrible when the movie picks up, but through her actions as Ghost, through whatever heist is going down here, she gains her powers through the quantum realm and then just goes next level crazy with power. Pretty standard Disney Marvel storytelling trope. You have someone with a tragic past that's been put upon their entire life, no one believed in them, they get crazy powers. Recipe for a villain origin story, which is why, it's important that Hope has like these other people around her, like her father that cares about her, Ant-Man that cares about her. They actually kind of addressed that during the first film when they were trying to teach Scott how to control the ants, and she put the device on that allowed her to communicate with them, and things got really dark really fast.
Hope!
I don't know why I came to you in the first place.
Hank Pym had to scream to get her to take it off, so you can imagine what would happen were she left to her own devices without the support system she has around her. Like the whole idea that some of this power could corrupt you. They kind of did that during the first movie with the Yellow Jacket character where he was driven mad by some of the technology that they were using. Like it could actually legit drive you nuts, which kind of seems like what's going on here with the quantum realm and Ghost. Like she seems like a pretty badass person, but this look on her face here is not the look of a sane person. Then obviously you have all the funny stuff with Lewis. How about a suit? Not even a special suit with powers, just a regular old suit. No, absolutely not. You're definitely not getting a suit. There've been a lot of you asking about potential Janet Van Dyne villain story, like if she's secretly one of the villains of the movie. I don't know if they're going to take that dramatic left turn, but they could have a scenario whereby she's driven a little bit nuts by what's been happening to her while she's in the quantum realm, and they sort of have to bring her back to sanity. It would really be weird if she were stuck down there in the quantum realm for 30 plus years and didn't go a little bit crazy. But, I mean, obviously, Michelle Pfeiffer, great actress, so she does a really good job of walking that tightrope of really nuts and really badass. Remember her Selena Kyle in Batman Returns, like just a really awesome, totally normal secretary type character that was able to do the swing to this crazy Catwoman persona. So I'm really hoping there's a little bit of that Michelle Pfeiffer in the film, just like a little bit of her off the chain. But a lot of you have been asking about Captain Marvel. They've been filming the movie, like they jump back and forth, and I talked about it in my last video too, about how she shot her Avengers 4 scenes before they did the Captain Marvel movie, so I'll link that video at the end of this. But the big thing that people have been asking me is who is the actual villain of the Captain Marvel movie? And I think it's actually a bit of a surprise because there's like 4 characters that could be the villain that they've cast. Like Lee Pace's Ronan the Accuser is going to be showing up, a younger version of his character, with Korath from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So they're crazy 20 plus years into the future during the events of Guardians of the Galaxy. but you also have Ben Mendelsohn playing a character that they haven't announced yet, and he typically plays really good villains. So he could either be the supreme intelligence of the Kree, he could be the Skrull Emperor, but they've cast this actress as Minerva, and she's sort of a dark version of Captain Marvel. Like, not a really big character that people know a whole lot about. So I think part of the reason for including some of these other villains, like Lee Pace's Ronan the Accuser and Ben Mendelsohn, is because they're familiar actors. Like, oh, I remember him from Star Wars. Okay, I get it. I remember him from Guardians of the Galaxy. So in the way when they did Guardians of the Galaxy, they had like a couple familiar things with a whole bunch of weird stuff. I think they're doing the same thing with Captain Marvel. Like, people know who Brie Larson is, but because they're doing so many new characters, I think they want to keep it as familiar as possible. So they're sort of using Ronan the Accuser and Ben Mendelsohn as like the soft in for people that don't know a lot about comics. Like, hey, remember these people? Yeah, they're bad. But really, this other person over here is going to wind up being the true villain of the film. So if you're not a big Captain Marvel comic book fan, it is one of the most complicated comic book continuities. There have been a bunch of different versions of the character. There's been Game of Thrones level artificial insemination children created. It gets nuts. But it also involves characters like the Celestials and Quasar. So this is where I think they're sort of building themselves into the Eternals movie in the franchise that they just announced. So you can kind of see how they're pushing into new continuity for other movies using the Captain Marvel movie. So it's all about this Phyla-Vell character. She's actually the daughter of Mar-Vell. Mar-Vell is the person that falls in love with Carol Danvers and gives her his powers eventually. Before all that happened, Mar-Vell fell in love with an artificial Titan called Elysium. So she was artificially created on the planet Titan, where Thanos is from. So she was an artificially created Eternal. So she had like their DNA, so she had extra superpowers. She fell in love with Mar-Vell. He eventually left, went on to other adventures, and died. Here's where it gets kind of complicated. She loved him so much that she used leftover genetic material from him to create 2 children. So Phyla-Vell was one of these 2 children. The other one, the male child, became sort of the successor Captain Marvel for a little while in the comics. He went a little bit crazy. She battled him for the title of Captain Marvel. So you get the idea. You have the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel that takes the title eventually, but you have the real daughter of Mar-Vell who feels like the title belongs to her. So you can see why she might hate Carol Danvers and want to take her power from her. Those powers belong to me. We kind of did a version of this during the Black Panther movie. Very Game of Thrones type story, the successor to the crown of Captain Marvel. So if you didn't know, Jude Law is playing Mar-Vell. Obviously, he's going to be a big character during the movie. They're going to Steve Trevor the origin of Captain Marvel, probably, where she gets her powers, but he winds up dying in the process. But I know I name dropped Quasar, people wondering if he's going to be a character in the Marvel Universe. The cool thing about Phyla-Vell is that she actually gets Quasar's quantum bands, which give her like this next level power up, but she got the bands from a nihilist who had sort of tainted them, so they sort of poisoned her mind, and she declares war on all sentient life. I also name dropped the Celestials. So the quantum bands of Quasar were created by a Celestial called Eon, who is one of the children of Eternity. He and the bands show up during the Captain Marvel comics, so I'm wondering if we're going to meet any other Celestials during the Captain Marvel movie. We'll see if they go that far, but they might save that for future sequels. But hopefully that explains who some of the villains of the Captain Marvel movie are. Let me know who you actually think will be the real villain, like if some of these are just misdirects. But what'll happen is I have some new Game of Thrones to post, there's some new Flash. Leave all your Marvel requests in the comments below. And congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Wyatt Aces. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. For those of you asking about Captain Marvel trailers, I'm expecting to start seeing more of that later this year. Maybe a Comic-Con trailer, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Click here for more new Ant-Man in Avengers 4, and click here for my new Hulk Avengers 4 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.